It would seem as though.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, I'm here.
You are here. You are most definitely here. I can see that.
I'm awake. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm very mindful. I'm very demure.
Very demure? Yes.
I'm very demure. Yeah.
A little shout out to Jules. What is her last name?
LeBron.
Jules LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
My
Love
new
her.
favorite TikToker.
Love.
She's very demure.
And Jules is spelled JOOLS. So Jules.
Double O. Is that a new letter? I don't know.
It's a double O. It's like a W, but it's a double O. It just,
yeah.
Anyway.
So, welcome to another episode of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
We're starting out with nothing, so why not? Honestly.
Welcome back to another episode of Podcast, where we podcast about
podcasting. Yeah, our podcast is entirely about other people's podcasts that we spend all of our time listening to so that we have a life.
I don't do any
or
of
don't.
that. I don't do any of that. Literally, if the only thing I listen to that could be considered... It is a podcast, depending on... Like, I watch it on YouTube, right? But you can also listen to it as a pod, is... voice actors playing Dungeons and Dragons for hours. That's what I listen to, and I get...
Is that considered a podcast?
Well, they have it in podcasting format.
Oh, okay.
Right, so like you can watch it, or you can just listen to all of them play, because they're voice actors. So they all use different voices for their character, but like the person who runs the game, Matthew Mercer, is credited with being in like a billion like cartoons and anime, and so every character he has like specific voices for them, and so he's playing, I don't know, hundreds of characters over the campaign, and they all have distinct voices. It's nuts.
So it's got to be nice for you that since you've watched 700 or 800 hours of it, you actually can watch it without looking at it because you know who everyone is and what,
and I know they're regular speaking voices too, so it's not so bad. I prefer watching it because I think and they're just sitting around a table interacting with each other playing a game, right? It's not wildly fascinating, but it's just fun to watch them interact and seeing their body language and how they emote. I enjoy that more so just than hearing their words, you know.
Anyway. I listen to. There's a handful of podcasts I listen to. I listen to Very Delta, starring Delta Work, who is a queen who I love from California.
A queen who you love. Most people, if you know anything about Drag Race, you know who Delta Work is.
Well, right. If you're one of the people who only started watching it recently or only know it from the newer seasons, you probably don't know.
Wait, do people do that? Do people start something in season 13 or whatever and then don't ever watch the shit before?
I have heard that.
That's weird.
I started watching Drag Race at season 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, Drag Queens on TV. I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll watch all of it. And season 1 was, of course, terrible.
Sure.
Because it looked like they were filming through a gauze, strip over the lens, and the lighting was terrible. The set was terrible. It was all terrible. But it also did start this show that has now spawned so many franchises.
Well, and not only that, there's a drag pack political group, right? There's a whole drag pack. It's drag queens getting people motivated to go vote, which I think I
love that.
Yeah, because you've heard of like all the PACs, right?
Sure.
Which are like donors, people who raise money for specific politicians. But yeah, there's a drag pack now. I don't know how long it's been going on, but some of the major queens from Drag Race started it, and I
did not know. So Delta was on season 3.
That was so long ago.
With Raja and Manila and the Heathers.
The Heathers, yeah.
So anyway, but I listen to her podcast, and I listen to sometimes Alaskan Willem's podcast, where it's a wrap-up, basically, of Drag Race. And a couple other things, but the one that I'm listening to now that I'm completely obsessed with is I've Had It.
Okay.
And when I tell you just how they started, you'll be like, yeah, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
It's a podcast for open-minded people who what is the word they use? but there is all about petty grievances.
Love. It's the two Southern women, right?
Yes. It's two women from Oklahoma, Jennifer and Angie, or Pumps as they call her on the show. And they're from Oklahoma, so they're deep, deep, deep in the red state.
Yeah.
But they are very blue.
Sorry, my dog's barking. Did you leave your dogs out?
The dogs are outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Emily's going to chip and, chatter.
If she has to, she has to. But they talk about political stuff, and they talk about, well, whatever the fuck they want to talk about. But a lot of it is things that they've had it with.
Yeah.
So it's petty grievances. I love that.
Same.
I want to be on their show. I
Girl.
want them to call us and go, girl, what have you had it with? What haven't I had it with?
Oh, how much time you got,
Right.
girl?
Can we do like a 3-parter?
Yeah.
Because I've had it with so much shit.
Yep.
One of the big things that really is in my my craw, as us country folks would say, is the amount of bullying that goes on online.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been going on since online existed.
Yeah.
But the one that's really got me angry right now is bullying Tim Walz's son, Gus.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's not because he's neurodivergent. He is neurodivergent. But why on earth are you bullying a 17-year-old?
Yeah. Weak, stupid.
I'm sorry, and Ann Coulter, aren't you like 100 years old?
Bitch.
Why is your life so empty
Yeah.
that is what makes you happy,
Well,
is bullying other people?
She has to bring everyone else down, girl. She's been engaged like 7 times and never married. Like, that says something about her. And I don't even care. Be engaged, be married, be divorced, be whatever, as many times as you want. But you're a hateful cunt. And, like, you have no stones to throw, bitch. You know what I mean? Because your house is glass. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know? Like, I don't understand. But I was reading something about Ann Coulter. It was about how she was started on something and got fired from it because she was too mean. And she said that after that she learned that there's a lot of money in making people mad.
Yeah.
And that's her job. Like,
and she's allegedly written like 11 books, I think.
We'll see.
And
I'll
all
leave it
of
there.
them have been criticized for being highly plagiarized.
That's so funny.
So, glass houses, ma'am. You know, if you don't want folks coming for you, or maybe you do, maybe you enjoy it when folks come for you.
Yeah.
But it's never okay to go after a kid. I don't care who the kid is.
No.
I don't care that he is autistic. I don't care about, I care.
Yeah.
For him, he
Yeah.
seems like a wonderful young man.
Yeah.
Who has a wonderful father.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he had the sin of being overly emotional when his dad was on stage.
Yeah, because he has a great relationship.
Talking about how much he loved his family and that his wife, his son, and his daughter were his world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. Some dad would say wonderful things about their child, and their child would get emotional about it.
I know we think that emotion makes you a woman or gay or whatever, but I think it's just, I don't know, what's it called? Punching down. Like, that's really what it is. Like, you have nothing else to say about the DNC that you have to go after Tim Walz's son. It's just weird. And it's funny because I expect liberals to be the party of weirdos, but I really think that the new conservative is a very weird group of fucking people. Well, and we've talked about this before, the whole semen carrying, the whole whatever, that's all MAGA and whatever, but just this like overreach into like what seems necessary in regards to the political climate. Like, why attack a 17-year-old?
My favorite stupid thing I heard someone say this morning, and it was someone on Fox News, and I don't remember her name, but she used to be in the Trump administration. I think she was his attorney. Maybe she still is his attorney. Who said, and I'm probably going to get these facts wrong, but it doesn't matter because it's so ridiculous. She said that at the DNC, you could get an abortion and a free taco.
Ooh.
And I'm like, wow, at the DNC they were handing out free tacos and abortions and a vasectomy and some other thing. You know, it's like you were getting free food and
free medical procedures
and healthcare.
Let's go.
Well, I'm just like, they're handing out free tacos. I'll go.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah.
I don't need any of those procedures, but I'll get a taco.
Listen, I don't even like parties because but the DNC was a fun party, right? Like, the fact that they had Lil Jon, you know, up there.
Well, and the fact that as it's going on, and it looks like, you know, a rage of a party.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, for political people.
Yeah.
that on Fox News they're like, oh my god, it's just so sad and nobody's having fun and blah blah blah. It's like, are you watching the same thing? Are you watching maybe the funeral channel accidentally?
Yeah.
You know, because they all looked like they were having a wonderful time. There was all these wonderful like celebrity endorsed blah blah blah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to come out of that, I mean, there were so many great things. The DNC was wonderful. One of my favorite things to come out of that is Michelle Obama's speech. And at one point during her speech, she said, who's going to tell him that the job that he's seeking might be one of those black jobs?
I know. I love it.
And it has now been turned into a song. It's been remixed over. It's like, who's going to tell him that the job... It's like, to a snappy beat. It's like, oh my God.
Let's go to the club.
I want to hear it like over and
oh
over
my
and
God,
over.
who's this artist?
I
Michelle
know.
Obama.
Michelle Obama.
I remember her, when they go low, we go high speech. And I was all, no, girl. When they go low, I go for the fucking throat. Don't try me. Like, what you mean? Like,
when they go low, I'm going to cut them off at the knees.
Yeah, what you mean, bitch? I'm not going to go high if they're going low. Have you ever fought anybody? That's not how that works.
Michelle, that's not how it works.
No, God.
I mean, I love you, Michelle, but come on.
Do better.
Let's be real. Let's be real.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. So that was probably, I mean, one of my favorite things to come out of the whole thing. Although there was some really great speeches. It's also one of the most watched Democratic National Conventions in history.
That's not shocking.
Whereas the Republican convention had horrible ratings. Hardly anyone was watching it. And each night, as it went on, it got lower.
That's so funny to me. Well, did you watch?
And Trump, of course, was all like, I had the highest ratings because I'm a ratings magnet and everyone loves me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you're a freak show
and
that
that's
people
why.
Tune into to see how stupid you're going to be.
Yeah. I sent you clips and I watched, I don't know, dozens of them of the DNC compared to the RNC and just like back and forth, like when they're doing roll call of the states and what the delegates, who they're going to vote for, who they nominate. At the DNC, it's a literal rave. There's like party boys wearing fucking harnesses and underwear, raving with glow sticks on ecstasy. And then at the RNC, there's just like everyone is sitting, their handmaidens are next to them. You know what I mean? They have their whips in hand. Like, it is silent. They're like, we need to maintain decorum. And I'm like, bitch, Lil Jon is over at the DNC fucking doing coke off a stripper's ass right now. And you're talking about decorum? You are so boring. And not even that. Like, it is the fact that all of these people who represent such diverse groupings of what society offers all were present at the DNC. You know what I mean? Like big rappers, all these, not only just rappers, but like random people. Tim Walz is like from Minnesota or something, right? Like, it's not, the DNC felt more inclusive. Granted, don't come at me because I'm a radical and I would prefer to see no Democratic Party or Republican Party. I'd much rather see everything burned down. So don't come to me.
Well, yes.
But here's the thing. I liked the message. I liked the representation. I liked what I saw comparatively to the RNC, which you couldn't pay me to go to. It was just so stale and bland and like, I don't know, that shit makes me uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
I feel slightly like...
So the only thing I really saw from that, other than the clips you sent me, was when Marjorie Taylor Greene made her very demented speech, because she is saying, she literally would go, you know, and Donald Trump is going to make America great again, and then she would pause and go, It's like,
God.
What is wrong with you?
She's a Simpsons character. It's like really awful.
And she would have this like maniacal smile and make that noise. I'm like, what is happening?
I hate her.
I'm going to jump back for just a second.
Okay, are you playing something?
Yeah, I'm going to in just a second. It's the part of the roast of Ann Coulter.
Okay.
Ann Coulter, if you're here, who's scaring the crows away from our crops? Last year we had Martha Stewart, who sells sheets, and now we have Ann Coulter, who cuts eye holes in them.
Looks like she's having a good time. I haven't seen you laugh this hard since Trayvon Martin got shot.
Ann Coulter is here, which can mean only one thing. Someone must have said her name 3 times. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
If first of all, as a feminist, I can't support everything that's being said up here tonight. But as somebody that hates Ann Coulter, I'm delighted.
Ann Coulter is one of the most repugnant, hateful, hatchet-faced bitches alive. But it's not too late to change, Anne. You could kill yourself.
Ann Coulter has written 11 books, 12 if you count Mein Kampf.
Ann Coulter looks so much like a truck stop transvestite whore that I saw Jeff Ross run to an ATM just before the show.
Anne hopes the Republicans can hold on to the House so she can continue to haunt it. She seems stiff and conservative, but Anne gets wild in the sheets. Just ask the Klan.
Anne's against gay marriage. What's your thinking on that? If I can't get a husband, they shouldn't either?
It's 56 days to Halloween, but I see that Ann Coulter's already in her skeleton costume.
Is Pete white? Is he black? Ann Coulter needs to know so she can decide if she hates him.
Why is Ann Coulter here tonight? Answer? Because the Right to Lifers wanted everyone to see what an abortion looks like up close.
Oh.
I just realized that I am not the only athlete up here tonight. As you all know, earlier this year, Ann Coulter won the Kentucky Derby.
Oh my god.
So that was just a little Ann Coulter humor for your...
It's so funny. I was thinking of that because I just saw that on the Ticking Talk and I thought I saved it. I sent it all over to all my fans, you know.
I mean, it is mean.
Who cares?
But roasts are supposed to be mean.
Yeah.
Everybody's mean to everybody. But the fact that... Why was she at a roast? Because it wasn't even of her. It was a roast of Rob Lowe.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they
Who
friends?
invited her and why?
I don't know. Did they date? That would be horrific.
Ew.
Okay, you know what? That brings me to a topic. Ann Coulter's dating life.
Not a topic?
No, I don't actually have one.
Okay.
It's just Ann Coulter's dating life was my topic.
Okay.
So I'm looking it up. I don't know.
Oh, that's all you have to say about that?
Yeah.
Ann Coulter's dating life?
Girl,
so you have a topic, but no...
I was just playing off what we just did. I wish you were funnier.
Oh my god.
I know. You just can't keep up.
Well, while you're figuring out what to say about that, I have a couple religious things I would like to talk about.
No.
There is, and I'm actually going to read part of this article because it is so ridiculous.
Okay.
So my husband sent me this picture of a stage with a water slide on it.
Okay.
And somebody made it, it looked like a joke saying this is the newest thing in, baptisms. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but it says, elevation combines the fun of Six Flags with the sanctity of the Lord's house thanks to a slide that stretches from the church balcony down to the small baptismal pool below. Larry Habatka, the creative pastor and chief architect of the church. Creative pastor. I don't even know what that means. Creative pastor is like creative director?
Yeah, but it's...
An architect of the church said, the slide will hopefully allow baptisms to go faster and with more people. How are you just going to fill up the tub, or what's happening there?
They're just shooting kids
They are
down the
now
slide.
dubbing baptism Sundays as Splashtism Sundays.
I love it. I'm here for it.
The slide was unveiled from behind a large curtain as the worship band started playing TLC's Waterfalls.
Bitch.
Well, and then people would be directed one by one to the orange entrance of the slide, and then, with a push, they would slide down to the baptismal pool. Their screams and thrills are meant to represent Jesus' death, and then they emerge from the water, they will be resurrected.
Girl, okay, I want you to know that clearly they know... Wait, what church was this?
Oh, Christ. It's a Baptist church.
Oh,
in
okay,
the
a Baptist
South.
church. I don't care what it's called, as long as I know it's... I was like, a Catholic church? I don't know. But
they just sprinkle the water on you.
Yeah,
they
they
don't
just
dunk
spit on you. There is...
and it's in North Carolina.
Oh, awful. My man's birth state. But I love that people... So there, there's the whole discussion, this kind of off topic. It's a little more academic. But there's the discussion of the world is becoming too secular, and specifically like the Western world. Like, nobody believes in God anymore, and Christianity's dying, which isn't true. No,
of course it's not true.
The number one thing that is happening that Christians freak out about is that denominationalism is declining rapidly. So people aren't declaring a denomination of their religion, right? They're just saying, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus, whatever. I believe the Bible, but they're not going to any sort of congregation. They're not meeting.
Right.
They're more personally Christian. And so things like that, as flashy and fucking stupid as it is, like, here's a water slide, push your demonic child down it, or whatever.
Do you want people into your church? Get a water slide.
Honestly, it's like their ploy of being like, look, we're fun. Like, bitch, what?
Yeah.
That's awful. I think it's hysterical, and I would do it. Why not?
I would do it. I would
love
come
it.
back every
Ooh.
Sunday and be like, I'm here for my baptism. Wait, weren't you here last week? No, this is my twin.
I mean, what? But it's fun.
But I got sin during the week, so I need to be baptized again.
I'm a dirty little girl.
So that was one of the church things that I was like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
This one, I'm like, how? What? How?
What? How?
There's a church in Mexico selling plots in heaven.
Yeah.
For $100 a kilometer.
Oh, wow.
I think it was a kilometer. I don't know. I don't know metrics.
Yeah, well, that's like a mile. Like, that's what a kilometer.
Well, heaven is supposed to be, vast, endless and whatever.
Yeah.
But
why do you need to sell plots?
For $100 a plot,
Yeah.
you're going to give this priest in Mexico your $100.
Okay.
And
I'm with it.
no,
Okay.
I don't think that guarantees your entrance into heaven.
Sure.
But once you get there, you'll have some land.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
Whereas there was another minister who was literally selling entrance to heaven for $500. You give him your $500 and he guarantees you entrance into heaven. Have none of these people read the fucking Bible?
Yeah.
Because although it is a great piece of fiction, although it's pretty boring, but
Yeah.
everywhere in there it says you can't buy your way into heaven.
Yeah.
It says it multiple times. And who is sucker enough to go, a plot of land in heaven?
Girl.
I'm in. Because this minister said that he talked to God. Now, the minister talking to God, I'm fine with. People talk to God all the time.
Sure.
Great. But he says that he asked God about selling these plots of land in heaven, and God was like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Capitalize
I think we should
on
do that.
it.
Make some money.
Yeah.
And, if you were doing it, you know how people do that thing where you can name a star, that kind of thing, which is also ridiculous to me, but it's like, it's just and which star is the third star to the left?
You know, it has a different name already.
Right. But it's like, if you were doing it as like, here's this thing we're doing, and it's just a fun fundraiser, and you're not really getting anything.
Sure.
That would be okay. I mean, it'd be like, but people are doing this seriously, and I'm all, what? Who? You should not be in charge of your own money.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. There have been people who got, their followers to drink poisoned Kool-Aid or to kill others. So I'm not really shocked that there's these little congregations of people who are brainwashed by their minister.
No.
But I just have some questions.
Sure.
One, do we assume that heaven, this is all hypothetical, obviously, that heaven is just going to be a regurgitation of what everyday life is here. So you're going to need that plot of land so you can grow your corn, so you know what I mean?
Right.
So we can sell it to the other dead people in heaven. Is that the thought? Also, if heaven is endless and expansive, what's the point in needing to buy a
that
plot
when you
of land?
get up there and you talk to heaven's realtor,
Sure.
you can say, I already bought my plot. Can you show me the plot 4,983?
Sure. But what would be the difference between you... Right, if it's endless, that means there's no end, right? Which means everyone can have as much or little land as they want.
You do realize your problem here, yes? That you're trying to be logical?
They're spending money for it, I'm wondering.
Yeah. So it says, the pastor of the church known as NTOMS claims that he spoke directly to God in 2017 and got granted divine permission to sell the celestial real estate.
Stupid bitch.
Yeah, as the images circulating on social media show a brochure advertising the heavenly plots, heavy on the AI art, featuring an illustration of a grand house in the clouds with a family ascending a golden staircase to their new eternal home. What?
I need you to know the whole talking to God thing. That's fine. You can talk to whoever you want.
Sure.
But I do have questions. Like, if God tells you to do something, you more than likely should do it, right? It's the word of God, literally.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the thing. Morally, religiously, if God says do a thing, you should do it, right? But, like, what if God says, kill me? You know what I mean? Kill your mother. Kill your children. You know what I mean? Then you should just do it.
So my thought there is, if you're hearing voices, you might want to get that checked out.
But that's the thing, is people who are, like, religiously devout. There are people who use religion for everything, being like, God told me to XYZ, right? And I'm asking, one, because I saw this on an SVU episode, talking about God, and God told him to.
Yeah.
And, like, how far that gets you. Under the protection being, like, it's my religious freedom. But, like, if God told you to commit a crime, bitch... But you know, God is the ultimate authority. Like, I just don't know how far religious people are willing to take it. And that's weird to me, because you're willing to believe... You think it's crazy that I believe in, like, ghosts and spirits and aliens, but you want to believe that this omniscient, everything, all the time, everywhere knowing bitch gives a fuck enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You think that he's talking to you, peasant? You think he's looking down being like, this ant looks fun, let's talk to this one. Nor, if anything, I think God probably was like, yeah, let's create humanity, and then got bored, you know? God hasn't been here. What you talking about? It's been a minute. If God was ever here, when was the last time, you know?
I know.
But people be dumb.
Well, and while we're talking about church and crazy people, and by the way, the one who was selling $500 tickets to heaven was from Zimbabwe.
Love.
Okay, so a Texas Baptist church labeled an anti-LGBTQ hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center has caused outrage after a pastor said, and I heard him say these very words, that gay people should be lined up against a wall and shot in the back of the head. This is a man of God.
Allegedly.
You're calling yourself a man of God,
No.
and isn't it the Bible love and forgiveness and kindness and do unto others? And it's like,
you would think.
What?
That's my question, girl. Like, what is wrong with all
Pastor
of you?
Dylan Oz of the Steadfast Baptist Church in Watauga, I don't know, a suburb of Fort Worth, Texas, made the comments during a Sunday sermon. I'm sorry, I can't imagine if somebody said that in not getting up and, you know, either A, screaming at this lunatic, or just going, well, I'm out and I'm never coming back to this fucked up place. But, you know, it wasn't the first, it couldn't have been the first fucked up thing he said. It's not like just out of the blue, this guy's like, you know, today I'm going to talk about murdering people because, you know, they're whatever.
What's worse is people
God.
follow him. What's worse is that he obviously has people who follow him, you know? That's crazy to me. Like, the fact that you have your own ideology and it's crazy and you spouse it, fine. But, like, there's people who are all, love it. Sounds great.
So here's it. You know how I was just saying the ridiculous things about how you're supposed to love people, whatever.
Ew.
He is directly quoted by saying, you know, a lot of pastors have this stupid idea where it's just like, oh, you know, God loves everyone. And God hates the sin but loves the sinner. But people have taken this to such an extreme where they're saying celebrate the sin, not just tolerate it, celebrate it. He continued, let me show what the Bible says about these people. It's like,
not these people.
And because they're dangerous to society. All homosexuals are pedophiles. So, you know, it's the normal bullshit rant that all of these idiots, you know, come up with. It's like,
the
all
bullshittery.
gay, you know, it's like, first of all, why are y'all so obsessed with the queer community?
Yeah.
God, get your own fucking life.
They can't.
But what a bizarre thought that all homosexuals are pedophiles. That's not even close to the truth.
I just feel like so much of that is such projecting. I feel like they're projecting.
Are they projecting?
Yeah, Ma, I think they're projecting again. No, for real. They are like, oh, I hate the gays. Being like, you probably gay. Being like, oh, they're all just pedophiles. So you're telling me you're a gay and a pedophile.
Right.
Like, that's what
if
I'm
that's your take, if you are like so just like passionately hateful about it, that's because you're full of self.
Well, and he's a white man, yeah?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
And here's the thing. I'll say something. If you are a minority and you, let's say, who cares? You are a person of color and you hate trans people, your hate in trans people is often just based on white supremacy and your own oppression. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because you've experienced so much hate and oppression, to associate yourself with another marginalized person outside of your own group would, in people's minds, lessen. It's like queer people being racist, right? Like, oh, well, yeah, we have all queer people here, but we don't have any black people, right? Because, like, they see that as, like, lessening the value of the group. But for a white person to have such rhetoric that is so ugly and hateful, I would say that's all projection.
Absolutely.
I would say he's gay and he likes to molest children.
I think anytime you get a group of, marginalized people, and they're trying to marginalize someone else, it is absolutely, it's like, well, I may be oppressed, but I'm still better than you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, your life of self-hatred and being scorned and mocked by other people has made you so full of internalized homophobia that you're like going, well, I have all this hate. What to do with it?
Yeah. Well, and
get therapy. Get some fucking therapy. That's what you do with it.
Well, and I think, too, about all these people who were, indoctrinated into churches that had extremist views, or just religions that had extremist views when they were young, and so that's what they grew up in, their norm. But, they get older, they go through puberty, they have desires outside of what their culture or their religion deems appropriate. Like, let's say you're a kid when you're in this religion, and once you hit puberty or you get a little older, you realize you like men, but you've been raised that that's wrong. You won't ever admit you like men. You'll hate yourself, and you'll hate every other gay around you.
Absolutely.
And then you don't know how to get out, because the people who were supposed to love you and care for you and protect you and, like, nurture you taught you to hate a complete stranger based on who they like to have sex with. And if that's not fucking weird, that's weird. But so that person in that situation can't really, what's their escape? Their escape is to be, it's feeling included, right? Like, they want to feel included, so they
become the bully.
Exactly. So they just start to reiterate everything they were taught. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know we've talked about this before, but it was like when we had foster boys and they would just regurgitate the shit they had heard from their parents. It's like, well, this is my belief. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's your parents' belief.
Yeah.
You haven't even thought about it probably beyond what they have said to you.
Yep.
And you just accepted that, which is very common.
Yeah.
And dangerous.
It is common. But I mean, until you're old enough to, like, actually reflect.
Right. Yeah. Once you get out in the world, hopefully you can go, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
But if you're raising your children to be homophobic or xenophobic or transphobic or whatever, they already are starting at a deficit because they get out in the world already hating people for really no reason.
Yeah.
And they have to have someone actually come to them and show them, oh, look, I'm a good person and I'm one of the people you hate.
Yep.
Well, why is it up to us to carry that burden for you? Well, it isn't. You need to educate yourself. You need to, and parents, I'm sorry, if you are raising your children to be hateful, then you are a horrible parent. You have failed as a parent, as Beverly Goldberg likes to say.
The burden, so, like, racism should be the burden of white people, but it's not.
Absolutely.
It is the burden of white people, but here's the thing. Who does racism affect? Not white people.
Not white people.
So out of survival and self-protection, you have to be like, but I'm a good one. You have to be like, but I'm okay. You have to. Or you're just targeted. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But that's all, again, just steeped in white supremacy. It's how close you are to, like, whiteness is how safe you will be, right? So, like, if you are contrarian to, like, a white power, I guess, it just makes it worse, right? So they already don't like you, right? But depending on who it is, it could just cause more harm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, unless you, like, fawn. Unless you just kind of pretend that... I don't know. It's like code switching, but you have to do it with everything. You know? All the time.
I do know.
That pastor we were talking about, I thought about something else, too. I thought about if he wasn't a homosexual man, because now I'm just on the track that he's gay, he would have just been in the congregation like any other of those, like, heterosexual men with wives and children or whatever. I think the fact that he probably is queer and was raised in a hateful fucking environment, he was never given attention that he craved or wanted. So
Right.
getting into this position to be this man of God, this man of power, where everyone, like, quote unquote, loves him in his congregation, I think that has to be satisfying for him, gratifying. Like, I may have had these, like, in his head, like, unnatural feelings of, quote, unnatural, of, like, having sex with men, but now look at me. I'm this man of God, and people come to my congregation.
I now have the power.
Yeah, now look at me. Now,
Yeah.
big and powerful. Yeah.
It's just the whole thing is so disturbing
Cringy,
to
yeah.
me. It really is.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say things like, well, you know, I used to not like gay people, and then I met somebody who I worked with who was gay, and they were okay. But it's like, so you had to actually, you know, befriend a gay person to go, oh, not all gay people are creeps. You know, and it's like, good God,
That's
man.
super weird.
And it's the same thing as like, well, you know, I was never around black people, so I didn't know. And then oh my God, people are people.
Yeah.
You know, if you start with that, if you just start with that, people are people. There are bad people of every single group.
Girl.
There are good people. But
No.
people are people, and if you give them all the same platforms, you give them all the same level to start from, and then decide, because I've always said, I don't hate any group of people. I like to get to know people before I hate them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
show me your true colors, show me you're an asshole, and I will hate you.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know? Actually, I won't even give you the time of day because I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
honestly,
Yeah.
you know, the whole thing with bullies is, and you know it's true because we were both bullied, is as soon as you step up to a bully, then they're like, oh shit, someone's called me on my nonsense.
Yeah.
You know? But bullies do it because they're insecure and they've been treated poorly and they, instead of going, well, I need to figure this out, it's like, well, no, I'm going to lash out at the next person who's a victim, who's smaller, weaker,
but you can't
whatever.
You know, instead of getting help, though, sometimes it's hard to get people who are well-adjusted to admit that they need to get help, let alone somebody who has actual issues, you know? So it's easy to say, I think a lot of the time, like, well, it's a mental health issue, which, yeah. But getting people help, we have to, like, destigmatize the idea of people being mentally ill, because mental illness, I don't know, I think that in the past, mental illness was used as like, oh, well, you know, she has whatever.
Right.
She has the whatever they called any of it, so she has to stay in bed all the time. Well, now, mental illness, like, when I work, I've said this a billion times, when I worked at Starbucks, people would be like, new hires, oh, I have anxiety, and I'm all, baby, welcome to Starbucks. Like, not only do we all have anxiety, but we're also caffeinated, and half people here smoke. You know what I mean? So, like, everyone's on edge all the time.
Right, absolutely.
And I do like that there's more conversation about it, but there has to be a whole cultural shift in a lot of things before people start realizing that men specifically, going and getting help for their issues, whether that is their internalized homophobia or just anger or their mom and dad treated them poorly. And I would think most men, again, specifically men, would benefit from going to therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
I would say everybody needs therapy.
Well, agreed.
But
yeah.
I think the other thing, though, is people, especially older people, I will say, look at mental illness as if it's one blanket.
I know.
It's like, well, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Whereas it is literally this umbrella term that kind of covers everything from mild anxiety and depression to all the way to the other end of being clinically insane.
Yeah.
It's all there. And so if you say someone has mental health issues, they probably do because it covers so much stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I just made a TikTok about this, I think yesterday, about bullying and stuff. The people who bullied me as a child they bullied me because they saw something in me that they either made them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And they were taught was wrong or bad. And the the popular opinion then was, oh, it's just kids. Mm-hmm. It's kids being kids. And everyone does it, and blah, 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 and they'll all grow out of it. All of those things, by the way, are lies. Mm-hmm. It's not kids being kids. It's kids being horrible because that's what they're taught.
Yeah, exactly.
It is kids being horrible because no one's checking them on that. And they don't all grow out of it.
No.
And not everyone does it. I didn't bully anybody because I was bullied, so I knew how it felt. Yeah. And the idea that I'm going to go make someone else's life miserable? No. Now, did I make other people's lives miserable? Probably the people I dated. Yeah. But, but I wasn't bullying them. I was just a bitch. So... so it's different.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. You know what? That is a kind of bullying. Man. Yeah.
Well,
I don't claim... But there's a difference between bullying people and not being nice to people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bullying, I feel like, is kind of a consistent thing, putting people down on their appearance and what they do and how they dress. Dumb shit.
Yeah.
I'm mean to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't bully people. I'm not mean to you because you're gay or fat or black or whatever, because that's stupid. I bully you because you have a lame personality. And there's a difference. Yeah.
You know, I want to float a theory by you.
Oh, no.
I have this theory.
Okay.
You know how, and I'm veering off a little bit here.
I love.
You know how people talk about helicopter parents.
Yeah.
And how kids now are so coddled. Mm-hmm. And we talked not long ago about, Gen Zers, aren't they the ones that are out now starting in the workforce?
Yeah.
Having their parents go to job interviews with them and such.
Yeah.
I think here's my theory, which is not scientific. It is not. There's been no studies done on this. It's just my theory.
I'm ready.
Is that the Gen Xers who you hear all the time on the ticking talks and whatever, talking about how they were basically feral.
Yeah.
They were latchkey kids
Yeah.
who were sent out in the morning and told that when the light comes back on, you come in the house.
Yeah.
Lucky if you get some food, water, or whatever, you drink out the hose, and hopefully you survive everything. I think those people went absolutely the other direction. It was we were not raised. We had to raise ourselves. So we are going to handle now our children with kid gloves and make sure that they get all the love and attention and whatever that we never got. And so it goes to the extreme.
Right. Well, yes, I would agree with you. Here's the other thing, though, is Gen Xers also raised a few millennials, right? So millennials are also raising Gen Zers.
Yeah.
So I think that it's interesting because there is this difference in Gen Z where they can, I don't know if it's a split in the group, but Gen Z are, full-fledged in protest, walking out of school, punching cops in the face, you know what I mean? Getting body slammed and jumping back up and, they're nuts, right? They are more savvy than kind of any other generation. They're more politically knowledgeable, but there's also this other, because your kids are Gen Z, I believe so.
I think one of them is. They told me one was Gen Z and one was Gen Alpha.
Oh, that's Parker. Yeah, Gen Alpha's younger.
And they're only 2 years apart, so whatever.
So I do think there's this all the other helplessness. There are a lot of kids teenagers who can do literally nothing. They've just. I feel if I grew up in a city and still was raised by grandma, I would have been that. Very helpless.
Oh, yeah.
In the world, because I was so sheltered. I'm grateful that I saw a lot of shit and I shouldn't have, and whatever. But on the other hand, when I was with grandma, I was so very sheltered. I saw movies and, she took me to theater or whatever, but I don't think most of that was her idea. And secondly, I grew up in Carlton and I couldn't do anything on my own. I couldn't go anywhere on my own. I couldn't walk to the store by myself. I couldn't never do anything.
Walk by yourself in Carlton.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if we've actually explained the place where we grew up, but the entirety of the town, until, you get out of what we call the town proper, is, I think, 6 blocks long?
Something like that.
It's maybe,
Small.
and I'm going to say, being generous, it might be 8 blocks in both directions.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
And it could be a tiny bit bigger than that, and then past that, you're out of, like, in the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
What is the danger? And I know for me, and I've talked to my husband about this, because he was one of those feral children.
Yeah.
He was a latchkey kid who had to feed himself, who had to raise his younger brother, all those things. When I told him that the first time I ever spent a night at my house without an adult there, I was 17.
Yeah.
The first time I actually went somewhere by myself, like walked in town by myself, I was a teenager, and an older teenager at that.
Yeah.
Because it was always like, you have to go with your siblings. You know, stay in groups of 2 and 3 so you're safe. And blah. I wasn't safe from my siblings, let alone with them.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, it was that overprotectiveness. And when I got out into the world, I moved to Portland, and this was 1981. Moved to Portland, and I'm walking around downtown by myself at night because I don't fucking know
You don't
anything.
know.
Because I came from Carleton, population 1,200, where I was never allowed to do anything, and I'm free now. I can.
Yeah.
And so instead of learning something from what I learned was I need to get out from underneath all these restrictions
Yep.
and go be free. Luckily for me, nothing bad happened to me in that time, but I was not making the best choices. I was certainly not making the safest choices because I didn't have any life skills.
That's it. Same.
I knew how to cook a little bit.
Barely, me too.
I knew how to do my laundry. But that's because we started doing chores when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have this group now who their parents are still doing things for, you know, it's like we've been watching The Goldbergs, thanks to you telling me I should watch it, and it's one of your shows.
Yeah.
And Beverly Goldberg, the mother on The Goldbergs, has raised her children so they have 0 life skills. She does everything for them.
I hate that.
And, you know, once they're getting out in the world, it's like, I don't know how to do anything. That's so much young kids now. And I was listening to this thing the other day, and I was horrified to hear that there are these parents, and it's not a small group. There are parents who have like parent groups on the interwebs, on the different social media, saying things like, hey, my college kid doesn't have any friends. Do you guys can you suggest, or blah blah blah, do you have your kids in the same school so we can, basically they're setting up a fucking play date for their college students. Or they're like, my kid goes to, you know, pick a college here, and where should they go to get their hair cut, or where should they go to do this or that? That is when they're supposed to figure that shit out.
Also, there's like Google, stupid. Like, what the fuck?
But it's like, and you know the kids are probably not needing the parent to do that.
Yeah.
But these parents are still like, I need to take care of my college age. No, you don't.
Well, that's also...
And how are they ever going to be independent if all the way into college you're like wiping their ass and, you know, getting them food and getting them friends, and it's like, God almighty.
I do feel like it's 2 sides, like, right? So boomers were like, oh, you can just work a full-time job, and then you can buy a house and have a family and go to college, and you'll never have debt, and you can try, you know, whatever. All the bullshit lies they taught us that nobody can do anymore. So, you know, being raised, being told to, like, all of those, meet these benchmarks, you know? And so then there's these kids, which really... telling kids that they can go to school for nothing, they can work a full-time job and have a family and have it all, you can't, right? And you can't do that anymore, but that was a false hope you gave them. So now there are these parents who are like not only hovering but suppressing their children, so they also get into the world and can have literally nothing because they don't know how.
Right.
So there's these generations of kids who are just don't know how to do anything because their parents, 1, lied to them about a system, and 2, don't let them do anything.
Right, they
to
shield
learn.
them from everything.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, just go fucking do it. You know?
And we've talked about this too, that I realized that I was kind of being one of those parents on certain things with my children, where I would do shit for them that they can absolutely do themselves. And so now when my daughter asks for help, you know, it's like I say, here's my help. You got this.
Yeah.
And if you know, read the instructions. That's my help. Look at the side of that box. There's instructions on there somewhere.
Yeah.
Read that. Figure that out. You know, use your lovely little noggin and figure this shit out. Because I don't want my children getting out into the world and going, I can't even make a sandwich.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go grocery shopping. I don't know how anything works. Because, so when I was growing up, the only goal that we were given was graduate high school.
Yeah.
Period. You know, it was not like, you know, here's some ideas for what to do after school, or here's what you do, you know, to have a good relationship, or here's some advice on dating, and not that my mother would have been one to be able to give out that advice because she, you know, had 4 men that were the worst men of humanity, and it's like, but we were given none of those life skills. It was literally just your one and only task is to graduate high school, and that was the all important, all everything.
Yeah,
it's like that's great and all,
yeah.
But college to me was never even an idea,
yeah,
because it was never talked about. We were poor. College wasn't on the horizon, unless, you know, you got really good grades and you got grants. Well, I didn't get really good grades because I never even thought about what to do after high school.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my senior year that I was on the honor roll, because I always had the ability, but I was fucking lazy and I hated school.
Totally.
So that didn't even occur to me. So when, you know, if you're not telling your children, you know, giving them the tools and telling them, you know, here are some options of what to do later in life, and here's kind of how to achieve that, and here's, you know, and here's some life lessons.
Yeah.
Then you're doing them such a disservice.
Yes, but I also want, again, it's so funny we were raised by the same fucking person, because her expectation, obviously me, was very different, because the expectation to continue going to school was always there, right? And here's the thing. Everyone always told me I should go to college. Everyone always said that's what I needed to do, but nobody ever explained how to do it.
Right.
No one explained how to get enrolled. No one explained admissions. No one explained any of it. So I had no one to ask. No one in my family had gone to college. So I had this expectation. You need to go to college. Your grades are so good. You need to go to college. Okay, but how? Like, I don't know how to get from high school doing really well into college, right? All of those steps in between, admissions, enrollment, orientation, I had no idea. And so it felt like, and so taking classes at like Chemeketa or like a community college was like the only thing, because I didn't know how to do anything else. And like, so having that expectation but not like the skill set, and it was confusing to me. It's all like, you know, official paperwork with like jargon that I was like, the fuck? So I had no idea. So I had this like, had to reach for it, so it never really felt like it was going to be attainable. That's why I, you know, graduated when I was 34 officially.
Right.
But, you know, like, and I'm glad that I did it, but, like, I probably could have done it a lot sooner.
Right. Well, because the thing is, for you,
yeah,
you had to give yourself those skills. You had to do it, you know, and that's fine, too.
Yeah.
But at some point, it would have been nice to have someone go, okay, here's kind of the basics.
Yeah.
Here is let's go talk to the school counselor and kind of find out what to do from here. Because if your parents don't know, like, honestly, I'm not really sure how to even start that process, because I didn't go to a regular college. I went to trade school. Yeah. Which, by the way, I do love the fact that now we're kind of getting away from all children need to go to college. Yeah. Because it's not the path for everybody. No. You know, it's like some kids just need to get out of high school and start life. Yeah. Because trade school and college is not right for them. Yeah. They need to, it's like maybe they're going to be happy being a food server. Or maybe, and that's what they want to do, and that's great. I always say, if you find something that you like to do, do it. You know, but trade school, if you learn an actual trade, and I mean a marketable trade, you will always be employable. Always. And if you learn one of the ones like being a plumber or an electrician or a mechanic, you will not only be employed, you will be always in demand. Yeah, and you'll be paid well.
And you'll be unionized. Yeah, you'll be paid well. You have great benefits,
and you will not go into debt for the rest of your life to pay for school.
No,
you know, but it's like these are actual marketable skills.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of trade schools are actively trying to recruit people, and they'll pay you while you're in school to get like apprenticeships and like hands-on learning with the company. Like, yes, I don't know. I know I've tried to convince Gavin a million times, even though he was literally like an electrician in LA, because I think he was like an apprentice, but like the laws are different from state to state. And I'm like, do it, just go do something, go make that money. But
right,
I don't know anything about anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's just at some point, obviously with my children, I will have to be like, let's go talk to your school counselor.
Yeah.
And let's kind of figure out what will be the next steps and how to do it.
Yeah.
And where then do we get the bajillions of dollars it costs to go to college? I mean, I don't believe my daughter will go to college, but I believe that my son will. And they have both said that that was their desire. Mm-hmm. And I've said, that's great. You do whatever's going to make you happy, but you have to be able to survive. Because it isn't just, well, I'm going to be happy sitting at home playing video games. Well, if you can make money doing that, then okay. But if it's not a sustainable life, then because I'm not going to just support you for the rest of your life. Because at some point, I'm going to die. I'm already old, so my children won't be able to count on me.
You want to spend your twilight years taking care of your gamer son.
I don't.
Sounds like a dream.
And I certainly don't want to be one of those parents who's then raising their grandchildren either. So,
girl, I'm moving out. If that's the case, I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
So I'm kind of want to end all that here because I want to talk about something else just real briefly. Last week, we talked about me having dog fever.
Yeah.
And how, I've been going through all of this nonsense because I really wanted another dog, which I need 10 more pounds. I don't need a dog. Yeah. But I went through all these different agencies, which are all rescue agencies, to find another big dog because I like big dogs. And most of them either ghosted me.
Rude.
Right? Or they were like, yeah, that would be great. And then they ghosted me.
I love that.
Or whatever. Well, so I found this dog the other day that I was like, oh, this dog is precious.
Yeah.
Because I was flipping through this. It's called Rescue. It's RescueMe.com. And there was this giant-headed, Pit Dane mix with his big fat head. Yeah. And it said, urgent. He's in a high-kill shelter. If he's not rescued soon, he will be euthanized.
Urgent. We're going to murder
And so
him.
I immediately called that number, beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, beep, boop. And I was like, I want this dog.
Give it to me.
And they were like, okay. And I'm talking to this woman for a minute, and she's like, did you rescue a dog with us last year? And I was like, maybe. And she goes, was a little black pit bull? And I was like, yes, as a matter of fact. And she was like, and then she was like, oh yes, because I remember you, blah, blah, blah. We talked. Well, she's like, I will check in. I will call the shelter immediately. I'll get back with you. Well, that fat-headed dog, to my delight, had been adopted.
Okay.
So he's got a home. He's not going to die.
Praise.
But when she called me back, she said, well, he has been adopted, but here's this other boy who is in desperate need because he's also in a high-kill shelter.
Yeah.
In Southern California. And he's also a, fat-headed pit mix of some sort, but he's beautiful. Anyway, and so I was all, my whole idea was to rescue a dog who needed to be rescued.
Yeah.
So by the time this airs, I will probably have this new dog who is 2 years old, and he's blue nose pit, I think. I don't know. But he's a mix, so he's not anything,
Pacific.
Right. But his name is Simon.
Love it.
And, So I'm allegedly picking him up tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tuesday.
You told me Tuesday.
Isn't today Tuesday?
Yeah.
I don't know what's
tomorrow
happening.
You said you're going to the beach.
I don't know what's happening. So but it's happening this week.
Okay.
So by the time you hear this, I will most definitely be having a new dog.
You fucking better.
Who I've already ordered a bed for. But I haven't told my children yet because my beautiful, wonderful daughter has, I think, no concept of permanence, object permanence, or time, or whatever. And so every 5 seconds, she'll be like, is it now? Is it time?
Yeah.
Should we go now? Is it here? And so I've just decided to skip all of that drama.
Yeah.
And tell them when they're going to meet this dog.
Yeah.
But tell them when we actually get there.
Yeah, I love that.
We're just going on a little adventure.
Yeah, we're going to go get things.
And when we get there, be like, look, a dog.
Oh my god, this dog needed a home and I found it.
So that is the happy ending to that story.
Love it.
So hopefully little Mr. Simon, he's 70 pounds.
Yeah, he's little.
So not little.
Yeah, I know, because you were looking for dogs, and I started looking for dogs, being like, well, now I think it's time I get a dog now. And I kept showing Gavin dogs, like, isn't this dog so cute? And he's all, uh-huh. And I'm like, don't we need her to... And he's like, what? Like, just was not ready. I'm like, fine, we'll wait.
Fine.
Life
Just because my
runner.
mother's
I
crazy
know.
doesn't mean I have to get a dog, I
It's
guess.
so stupid. I went from 6 animals and I have 2.
I know. What a dumb number.
I
too.
know, 2.
In your teeny tiny house, you have 2 dogs.
I hate it.
And a cat. I mean,
I know.
as long as it's not a giant dog like I have.
I know, maybe...
A second dog would be great.
Yeah, I'm not going to get a giant... Well, maybe. I really want
Right.
to...
I need a dog that takes up my entire couch.
Well, I found a couple baby Rottweilers, and I think they're so cute. Or maybe Doberman. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, I know. It'll all be what it is.
Yeah,
You know, as
thank
long as
you.
you're rescuing a dog
You
and
know
not buying
what?
one from a breeder.
I'm
it's
gonna
all
let
good.
go. I'm gonna let God.
All
you
right,
know?
you do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because one day at a time and all those
Step by
things.
step, day by day. I don't know. Gotta go.
Step by step. Isn't that corny show from the
Yeah, with-
90s with Suzanne Summers?
Yeah.
And her 45 children.
Yeah, exactly. All
Patrick
of them.
Duffy.
Yeah, him. Hillary
The,
Duff's
like
dad.
modern day Brady Bunch.
Oh, yeah.
But kooky.
I loved that show. Anyway.
All right.
It's
So
been
we're
fun.
going to go now, and we're going to go do other things.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you next week, but we won't actually see you.
No, we don't
I know
do
I say
that.
that every time. We will talk to you next
We'll
week.
talk at you.
And hopefully you'll talk back. That would be great. And if you want to talk back, we love that.
Don't do
that
it.
at itwouldseemasthough@gmail.com. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You can rate us on certain apps, and if you want to do that, that's also great.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I would love that.
I would love it,
I'd, like,
too.
give us a 5-star rating and
Yeah.
tell everybody how wonderful we are and how crazy we are and how stupid we are. Whatever, we don't care.
Wow, that's
Well, I don't really care.
wonderful, crazy, and stupid.
That's us.
That is us.
That's us in a nutshell.
Good
which is
God.
probably where we belong, in a nutshell.
Oh, bitch.
So,
know.
yeah.
All right, gotta
That's
go.
it. You know, I have things to do. I
Go
have a
get your dog,
to
bitch.
get. Oh my
Okay,
God.
goodbye.
Bye.
It would seem as though.